What's up, y'all, and welcome to an episode of TalkswithRodz Unfiltered. So we got a different landscape once again. We're outside, so if it gets a little noisy, I apologize in advance. So today's Unfiltered is a little interesting one because it was one that I was having a conversation with a couple of friends of mine, and we kind of all had the same feeling all at once, just hadn't said anything really about it. And it's a phrase that, I mean, it's usually used for creators and, and stuff like that, but it can be applied to pretty much any avenue, any field that you can think of. And the term that they call it, which I'm not a massive fan of this term, but it's a term, nonetheless, is the imposter syndrome. And pretty much what that is, in like layman's terms and in very short format, is when you're doing something and yet you feel like you're an imposter. You feel like at one point, all of this might just stop and people see, quote unquote, the real you, right? You might not think that you're worthy of where you're at. You might not think that, that where you got, you should have ever been able to achieve this. You might not think, that you bring any value to whatever field, whether it's a creative, whether it's in sports, whether it's your job, whatever it might be, right? But I'm here to tell you that that's not true, right? That you have been chosen for this position, that you've been placed there on purpose and with a purpose. And with that, I get it. Because there are times where, I'm not even gonna lie, I'll be super honest, this is unfiltered. There's times where I don't want to pick up the camera and record. There are times where I don't feel like it, where I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. It's not, I'm not in the zone. I'm not vibing with it, whatever it might be for that day. Some days you're just tired and you don't want to just put out content just to put it out. At least that's how I see it, how most of my friends view it the same way. We don't want to just put content out there just to put it. Like, oh, it's Monday, I have to post. Oh, it's Wednesday, I have to do this. Or like, oh, I have to do this for my job, or I have to do that. No, like, you want to go and give your 110%, right? You want to give all you got into it. But then there comes a point where it's like, maybe that video's not doing that well. Maybe, just say you're a musician, like that song isn't hitting the way it normally is. Maybe you're not getting the recognition that you thought you'd be getting for something. Let's say you put, your blood, sweat, and tears into a project for work, and people are like, okay, that's cool. And it's like, I just put in 3 weeks of my life into this project, and that's it. Like, that's cool. Like, that's all you got for it. And I'm here to tell you that, like, I get it. Like, it happens to all of us. But the most important thing is to remember that you're not doing it for you. Right? You're not doing it so that your name can get exalted. You're not doing it so that you can get glorified. You're doing it so God can get glorified. You're doing it so that God gets the glory, that He gets the value, that He, His name gets uplifted in all this, that His name goes before everything else, right? Now, like, I get it. Like, it can get tiring. Like, it can get tiring and thinking like, hey, what else can I put out there? What's new? You might hit a writer's block. You might hit a creator's block. Like, sometimes you just hit a block and you feel like you're just in a wall and you feel like you can't hit, like it's just not hitting. You've hit the record button 12 times and it's still not sounding good. You've been singing this song forever and like you still can't learn the words. And I get it. Like, it's a lot and it can be a lot. But isn't it amazing to know that in all that we know that we can lean on God? That in the midst of all this craziness, in the midst of just whatever you might be going through, you can just lean on Him and be like, God, like this sucks, like this hurts, like this is rough, this is not what I normally put out, like what's going on, what gives. And it's in those moments where we really just go back and just smile and be like, you know what, God's got my back. Like, this might be a little rough patch I'm going through right now. This might be a little place where I'm a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. Because you're going to learn through that. You're going to learn to rest. Excuse me. You learn to rest. I've said it in other podcasts before. Learn to rest. Maybe like you've gone so hard and you're about to burn out. Now, mind you, I'm not saying, if you're supposed to be, working super hard and putting 8 hours, you're like, oh God, I don't feel like it today. And no, I'm not saying that. But like, do the work and just continue with it. Be consistent with it. That's a good way to put it right now. Even if you don't feel it, stay consistent, right? Peter McKinnon had a great, a phrase that he talked about how he went through it. Like, right, mind you, if you're any type in the videography, photography, creative world, you know who Peter McKinnon is. Like, I'll try to put his photo right here. Like, the dude's a beast. Like, it's Peter McKinnon. But he even talked about that there's sometimes where, if you feel like you can't create, document. you feel like you can't create something like a new video about, let's say, camera gear and this super artistic with it and lights and transitions and all these cool fonts and stuff. All right, then document. Just document, hey, I'm going for coffee, and then from coffee I'm going to my job, and then just, document little things. Why? Because that keeps you consistent. That keeps you, going through the motions. And sometimes you have to go through the motions. Sometimes you don't always feel it. Sometimes you have to push past, that weird funk of you're like, I'm not really too good right now. And you just gotta push past that. It is what it is. We all sometimes get a little stagnant and feeling that, we get comfortable in something and then you're like, oh, do I really want to go and pick that back up again? But it's hard. It is what it is. Like, being a creative, being an entrepreneur, being, an athlete, being a teacher, being a mom, being like anything worth something is going to be difficult. It's going to have challenges, but just keep going with it. Take another step, keep pushing forward, keep moving forward, right? It's like a shark. A shark constantly is in motion, right? Why? Because for it to keep on breathing, for it to keep moving, for it to stay alive, it needs to be moving. So if you feel like you're just kind of stagnant, just take a step. I'm not saying it has to be like this massive, like altering change. Like we gotta like change your hairdo, shave your face, or for girls, do a full different, transition, whatever. I'm not saying that. It can be as simple as, all right, you know what? I'm not feeling it today, so I'm just gonna document. I'm gonna document me getting up. Then I'm gonna go and document, getting some coffee. Then I'm gonna document, going to work. I'm gonna document doing this, and you're just gonna start documenting little things, right? You might not feel creative, and it might not seem like a lot. But then you put that bomb, you hold that like in a little batch, right? And then a couple of days from now, you revisit it, and then you're like, oh, you know what? This actually pretty good. Or, you go, and it's very important. Like, let me also say that if you are feeling that burnt out, it's okay to rest. It's okay to just take a day off and do nothing. It's okay to just to go and do a project just for you. It's okay to have some alone time. It's okay to have time where you're not super just fine-tuned and dialed and everything's super perfect. It's okay just to be like, all right, I don't know what today's gonna hold, so I'm just gonna try it out, right? And something that I know has worked for me massively, and I highly recommend, and I'm pretty sure you guys are all doing this as well. Well, I hope so, but if you aren't, there's times where like I'll put my phone down, I'll put praise and worship music on, and I'll just talk to God. I'm like, all right, God, like what's up? And there's times where I'll just play it, and I won't even say anything. I'll just sing the song. I'll just let God speak to me. Because there's some times where you just have to like just detox and like let it all out. Maybe you have to cry. Maybe you have to yell. Maybe you have to just sit in a corner for a second. Maybe if at least for me it works. Maybe you have to go for like a jog or for a walk or go to the beach. Find your quote unquote happy space. Like do something that is productive. You sitting at home and killing a bag of Doritos and like a liter of Coke. I'm not saying, I've done some stuff like that before where you're just binge watching all the shows on TV. I get that for sure. But be a little productive with it too, because then you start feeling better. Because I get it. Sometimes you just want to like lean back, like, all right, I'm not gonna do anything for like the first like half of the day. Cool, for sure. Veg out, do nothing, for sure. I'm 100% do it, rest, because it's important to rest too, because as hard as you're going, you gotta learn how to rest as well. But what I'm saying is also be able to just go for a little walk. Step outside instead of, let's say, making coffee at the house. Take $2 and go to Dunkin', because I know Starbucks is a little expensive. Go to Dunkin' or instead of drinking coffee inside, because that's the want to save money, bring your coffee outside and sit outside. If you have a little porch, or you have a window, something where it's not your typical just in your cubicle, in your little office all the time. No, just some fresh air, get some sunlight on you, something. Yeah. That's it, guys. Like that's pretty much like what I wanted. This is my venting version of it. I was in my heart, and I talked to somebody else about it. And I was like, you know what? Let me tell the fam about this, because I know that I'm not the only one that has either struggled with it, has gone through it, but I'm also someone that's gotten out of it. I'm someone that's been through that path of like, man, like I'm not getting any new ideas. I'm not getting any fresh ideas. Nothing seems to be hitting. Like my editing is not working right now, and it's like, all right, take a step back. Reset, relax, and then re-engage. That's the important thing, is to just hit reset every now and then. Yeah. I love y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these talks. Hope this is good. Just remember, it's okay to reset, relax, and then just re-engage, because it's needed, right? We all need it in our own different way. So whatever way works for you, just keep doing it. I love y'all. Stay safe, and as always, make it the best day ever.